The 4 items addressed in this ordinance are as follows. It now includes side yards and backyards of residences instead of just the front yard. The vehicle cannot be parked on a property that is not owned by the vehicle's owner. Basically, if you don't own the property, you cannot park on an empty lot like some people have been doing here lately. The ordinance now specifies the depth of dustless gravel instead of current ordinance stating just gravel. And the current property maintenance code in which we adopted will make sure that that will be maintained yearly. Fourth, the ordinance now specifies a percentage of what can be used as the parking in the front yard. Many places I have seen 100% of parking in the front yard. This ordinance only requires 35% of the front yard to be used as a parking space. And then the rest of it will be used as a yard or make it more beautiful for the city and people who drive through it. Any questions, commissioners?
I just have a clarification, Corey, on one of the items you had just mentioned in your 4 bullet points when you said you must own the property. If somebody rents from somebody else.
Yeah, they'll have to. I mean, it's up to the owner of that property to make sure that it's, it depends on what's actually in your contract. It may be up to the renters to do it, but usually it's up to the owner to comply with this ordinance.
Okay. Well, you had stated that they must own the property, but if we have a lot of rental houses in town, they'll have to get clearance from the landowner to park in, to improve the surface to park there.
Yes.
Okay. Just a clarification.
And that also goes for undeveloped lots.
Yes.
Well, the landowner should feel like he's responsible for providing that, I think.
Right.
But main stipulation is if you park across the street in an open field, you're in violation.
Yes. They would have to have permission from that landowner, and the landowner would have to make sure that that empty lot or property is surfaced correctly.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we approve the final reading of ordinance number 4457.
I'd like to have a say in this, if you would, please. I've got some phone calls.
We got a motion, we'll have a second, then we'll have more time for more
Okay,
discussion.
I'll second it.
Yep. Motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Time for discussion. Go ahead, Jack.
Like I said, Corey, I've gotten some phone calls on this.
Yes.
One of them's asked how come we're the housing authority, HOA,
We're not the housing authority. We're, my job, code enforcement, is to help beautify the city of Liberal.
Got some phone calls from some elderly people, living on
Yeah.
Social Security, wanting to know how they're gonna pave their driveway.
That's why I put, gravel in, because,
When they don't have $5 at the end of the month,
yeah.
who's gonna pay for it?
As the code reads right now, if there is grass within that driveway, we can still ticket them. This is basically just to make the city a little bit nicer and help keep people from parking. They've kind of gone around the original ordinance and now are parking in the side yards and sometimes the whole backyard.
I got a text I need to read, okay?
Okay.
From Christy Lundblade. Okay. As a citizen of Liberal, Kansas, and a truck driver, this new ordinance is not right, for there are a lot of drivers who don't own property in Liberal. Not only, but that the biggest employer in Liberal is National Beef, and of course attached to them is the second biggest employer, that would be National Carriers. Now, if you make that ordinance into law, then we will not want to live in Liberal, and what will happen then?
So what's that mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't prevent her from parking her truck.
No, it just basically means that the landowner.
She
people
can
that
park on
rent
the
from,
street. What is,
Where's she parking?
I know there's a National Carrier driver asked me about where he's parking. okay, which is over there by the co-op. You know, what's this gonna affect him?
It will affect him unless he has permission to park there.
Yeah, but that's not unapproved. Are we gonna put,
It
co-op's
doesn't,
gonna put,
it doesn't matter. He has to have permission to park there.
I'm not arguing that point. But he's telling me we gotta have approved concrete or asphalt, is that right?
Or dustless gravel.
Yeah, and it's not gravel there, so.
Well, he can't park
Well,
there
he's,
then.
yeah, he's parking on property that's not his own right now anyway, which,
That's in violation right there.
Is he parking at a
Violation of
business?
present-
Yeah.
Then this is residential. As far
Reading
as,
doesn't say the difference between residential and business.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't, but it doesn't matter, Mark. It's an unapproved surface, so
Yeah.
he can't park there.
Oh, Where's he
legally.
parking at?
Behind,
Off Pershing?
right across the street from La Fonda, and behind that car lot that sits right there.
Okay.
It's on the Equity's property, I believe. so,
Yep.
yeah, there's a lot of them on that equity
Yeah.
property, and that's all gravel.
Yeah.
That's all gravel?
Yeah,
in,
it's gravel, so it's okay then, right?
Yeah.
Well,
That's what I
except
thought.
they don't have permission to park there. I mean, if,
That's
Yeah.
a property owner thing.
well, the property owner would notify us if they do
Yeah.
not want them.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's,
And that go for any business.
that's what was confusing me, because I thought that was all gravel back there.
Yeah, it is. They just have to have permission
Just
from
have-
Equity to park back there, in which I think Equity's already given everybody permission. Because, yeah, there's
so it'd be fun.
10 or 20 people that go by there and see the tractors there.
In an alleyway, if there's no vegetation, right behind like a privacy fence, it still has to have some kind of gravel or something down behind, even if there's no kind of vegetation at all.
If they have a privacy fence, which is 6 foot, then we basically cannot look over it.
They have to
He
park
meant, I think
inside.
Dean
On
meant.
the outside of the
On the
fence.
outside of
On the
the fence.
outside, yes.
They,
Yeah, they shouldn't be parking back in the alley.
There's some, okay, that brings up a question on Countryside, the one across from the golf course. There's 2 or 3 trucks that park back behind there, which the street is there, then from the street to their fence is,
20 foot?
yeah, well, it's a lot wider than
Yeah.
a normal alley, so, and that's where they're parking, but it's unapproved.
well, if they're parking in the alley, then our STO.
Well, I don't
No,
know if it's an alley, though. I don't know what that's
It's the
called.
off Stadium Drive
Yeah,
between the golf course and those
Don't know if
roads.
it's city property back there.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Some of them have a driveway. There's one guy that only drives for carriers and he parks back there, but he's got pavement or concrete.
He's probably all right then. I just see 2 or 3 that park back there, and most of them will park in front,
Yeah.
so, but, I don't know.
We can see if it's city property, but usually an easement, the owner's responsibility is to the center of the easement.
Well, the good thing is you're gonna notify them and give them a year to do something about it. You're not just gonna walk out there and start finding folks. We started on this in 2007.
07 is when this,
And it's kind of like trying to herd cats. About the time you think you got it figured out, there's something else comes along that changes it. We may not have it exactly correct now, but it's not put there to create harm. It's put there to help clean up our city and make it look better and nicer and
That's the whole intent of it. That's, I've had a lot of complaints about, 6 cars in front of a house with just nothing but mud.
And it's been hard to enforce, I understand, too, because we didn't have the proper wording in place to
Not a,
define
There
where the yard
wasn't
is.
specifics on it.
Yeah. So, anyway. Are you through with yours?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'll call for the question.
all right, any further discussion? If none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of final reading of ordinance 4457? All those opposed? Motion carries 3-1 with Commissioner Martinez absent. Next item on the agenda is ice machines for the fire department. Thank you, Corey. Chief Kirk.
try to keep it brief since I've been accused of.
I was going to say,
Well, good evening. I should have a memo from me in your packet detailing our current dilemma with our ice machines. We keep one at the north station and one at the south station for the purpose of icing down our water jugs to rehab our firefighters. And over the years, it's morphed into, we kind of are the one-stop location for other city departments to stop in. And I know a lot of times we supply them for the city events. This year, we had a couple big repairs on a big one at the North Fire Station. And finally, after we'd spent about $600 some on it in June, it just quit functioning altogether. And then on June 22nd, our South Fire Station just gave up on us too. We bought that one back in the early 90s. So find ourselves not having a single ice machine now. So the proposal, we sought quotes, and the proposal, one of them for the, I believe it's Mantle Walk, was about $87 or more. But looking at reviews and doing research on it, we think that'll be better, it'd be worth spending the extra $87 to get it. So the cost of the two of them together will be $57.50, and we've put that come out of our capital equipment machinery budget, which we're doing pretty well in the budget. We can just absorb that this year and make it up somewhere else.
Commission have any questions for Chief Kirk? I'll call for the motion to approve the ice machine.
Make a motion, we approve the purchase for the two ice machines in the amount of $5,750 from Central Restaurant Products.
I'll second that.
Motion by Vice Mayor Aragon with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Martinez absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Kirk.
Thanks, Chief.
You made a liar out of him. Next agenda item is agenda item number 9, the animal shelter. I believe we have Captain Antrim.
I'm going to make it shorter. I'd like to build a shelter. Yea or nay?
I make a motion.
All right, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, back in about 2000, 2003, the exact date's unknown, we inherited the animal shelter from the Humane Society when they defaulted. Since the time, the operation of the animal shelter has remained under the Animal Control Division of the Liberal Police Department. Over the past few years, several problems have arose, and we've struggled through these problems and have decided that it's time to move forward and come up with a solution to correct some of these issues. One of the big issues that we have in the current facility deals with climate control in the shelter area. When this building was built, it has a large industrial style, I guess, water cooler, in lack of better terms, in the rear of the facility. Our veterinarian, Doc Jones, has told us we need to keep the temperatures at least under 80 degrees. During the summertime, this can prove very difficult for us with that swamp cooler. We've repaired it on numerous occasions and still had difficulties in maintaining that temperature. Along with the swamp cooler leads us to another issue that we have in our current facility, and that's the spread of disease. With the water cooler, we are putting a lot of humidity and moisture into the air, which is allowing airborne diseases such as kennel cough and some of the other diseases to spread from animal to animal within inside of the current facility itself. Add that with inadequate drainage to the facility, which allows backup from one kennel to the next, and we have a lot of issues, as I know that you've heard of. Mayor Denoyer and some of our partners back here from Angels from Animals have addressed on numerous different occasions. But the biggest problem that we have with our current facility is it's too small. The size is inadequate for a community of our size, and it's not serving our needs. Currently, we have 26 kennels, and on a good day, with the Kansas Pet Animal Act, we can house up to 52 dogs at one time. Which you say, well, that seems like a lot of dogs, but on average, the Animal Control Division is bringing in approximately 5 to 6 dogs a day. Once those dogs are brought in, we have to hold them for at least 3 days before we can actually do something with them, adopt them, transfer them, or hold them. So, year to date, we've brought in approximately 610 dogs into our facility. And at times, it has been very stressful for an animal control supervisor to try and find and work with Angels for Animals to try and find homes for these animals that are just overrunning our facility. As a solution, what we're requesting, and in front of you today, is to add a 50 by 100 Butler building to the rear of our current facility. With this proposal, this is a proposal that will allow us to grow. What I'm proposing today is to purchase 60 kennels to be placed inside of this facility, which with room in the near future to expand up to 90 kennels, which would allow us to hold up to 180 dogs if we're doubling them into a kennel. The new shelter, in addition, will have an area to help us prevent the spread of disease. When those dogs are brought into the current facility, they're taken right to general population. In the new facility that we're proposing, we will actually have an isolation area where we'll be able to hold those animals for those 3 days, look for those signs of illness, have the vet on Thursday look over them before we bring them into general population and potentially contaminate other animals. There'll also be an adoption room, which will allow people that want to maybe socialize with an animal when they want to come and adopt it, to take it into this room, to spend time with it with the family, as well as future possibility of adding a fenced area so they could take it outside. In looking at this facility, we kind of had to look at what's our best solution for kennels. Obviously, the cheapest option that we have available to us is to put chain link kennels. However, with chain link, we're looking at inability to prevent the water coming from one side to the other side of the kennel. We're also looking at direct contact from dog to dog, even if we put a 4-foot piece of steel in there. So it's really not the best option. So what we looked at was a prefabricated kennel system from a company called LGL. This prefabricated kennel system is made of aluminum. It also has a antimicrobial resin or polymer sides, which will not allow disease to be spread from the kennels itself. The guillotine doors systems that we're proposing will allow the animal to be taken from one side of the kennel to the other side of the kennel. And I have a kind of a drawing of these. I don't believe they were presented to you in your packet. I want to kind of show you here what I'm talking about. In our current shelter, when we clean, we have to take the dog out of the kennel to an outside kennel, and we run it through all the water and everything from all the previous cleanings. And then once that kennel's clean, we bring it back through, potentially spreading disease from animal to animal. This system that you're looking at right there, that center piece will actually raise up and allow us to run the dog from one side to the other, so we don't actually have them out in the general population or out in the hallways themselves. Does a couple things for us. Number one, the prevention of disease. Number two, efficiency of the employees. We're adding 5,000 square feet, no additional employees. So this will allow for speeding up the clean time that's required. Another thing that we looked at is in the current shelter, we use water hoses and we carry around a bug sprayer with disinfectant. And this is how we are cleaning the current facility. What we're proposing to you today is to purchase a wash system that's very similar to that of a car wash. The attendant will carry a gun, kind of like a wand from the car wash with them. There'll be multiple plugs around the shelter at different locations. They'll have a remote with them that'll allow them to switch from disinfectant to clean water. Again, speed up the process and the efficiency for the cleaning of the employees themselves of the facility. This has been a very long project. I know Mayor Denoyer, you've been kind of involved in this for quite some time, and it's a relief to actually be standing here in front of you, because if I had any hair left, it would have been gone by the time I've reached you here today. We have looked over this proposal, and we've went over with a fine-tooth comb to eliminate expenses that we believe that didn't need to be there, while maintaining a very efficient and effective kennel for our animal shelter. Numerous bids have been received, and we are requesting that you guys consider the acceptance of a bid in the amount of $199,656 from JAG Construction. That is for the building itself and the foundation. No interior work done at all. Next, we're requesting of you to approve the bid from French Construction in the amount of $159,780,000. That's to complete the interior, the heating, the air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical in the building. The prefabricated kennel system from LGL is $68,744. The cat kennels from Shoreline are $8,700. And the wash system is $4,245. The total amount of this project is $441,125. We're proposing to pay for this project from $400,000 from one says sales tax crime prevention, $30,498 of that from gifts and donations that have been given to the shelter, as well as $10,627 to come from the police department equipment reserve funds. Does anybody have any questions?
Commission, have any questions for Captain Antrim?
Sounds like you did your homework.
For the last several years, you've done a good job.
About 3 years.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion that we approve the animal shelter for a cost of $441,125 with the funding to come as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison, have a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Is there any further discussion from the commission?
I have a question. Might be a silly question, but I think it's great because I've been in there. I know how small it is and everything. Is there anything you can do about all the dogs running around? I mean, I don't know. Is there? Because there's several. We see them all the time on that.
There's several different options, we've looked at. We've looked at a spay and neutering ordinance. We've looked at maybe pet licensing again. I know these guys go out every single day and bust their hump, catching those dogs that they can.
I see them out there chasing them.
A lot of it comes back to owner responsibility. And, one of the things that we do now is whenever we adopt a dog or we redeem a dog out of our shelter, we now microchip it, which allows us to help improve owner accountability. So when a dog's brought in, we're able to scan it, look in our system, and see, hey, is this your dog? And if so, now we know who to hold accountable for it being out and running the barge. So we're working on it.
Good.
Yeah, another thing I was going to say, with the microchipping, part of your adoption fees include the spay-neuter. When a dog is brought back in, if it is not spayed or neutered, is there any accountability that way? I know because I've adopted 3 out of there and had them spayed and neutered within a week of getting them. Okay, I've adopted a dog. I've agreed to have it spayed and neutered. I paid half the deposit down. But then I say, the heck with it, I'm not paying the rest of it. And if my dog gets out and gets caught back in, is there a fine for not completing the process?
I don't believe so. And that's one thing that we've discussed with Supervisor Crozier back there is making sure that we're following up on these adoptions to make sure that $75 or whatever that voucher is being actually spent, because the ordinance does require that an animal adopted out of the shelter to be spayed or neutered. I do not know if it has an actual penalty code attached to it or not. I'm not sure whether you recall.
I'm sorry, I don't. I've never prosecuted
Right.
a case like that, so.
So that might be something we need to look at.
Something to look at, I know education is probably the biggest thing.
And we've also looked at maybe just increasing our adoption fees to include the total amount of the spay and neuter and to make that dog be spayed and neutered before we release it to the family. However, with our current size of our shelter, we're just not able to do that.
Okay. Any further questions from the commission on this matter?
Problem with that one I'd see is they might want the dog right then and there, and then they have to wait to have a spayed or neutered. They might not come back for the dog.
Right.
Anybody in the audience like to address the commission on this matter?
Yes.
State your name and address in an audible tone for the record.
My name is Steve Leet, 1137 North Jordan. Mayor DeNoyer. We do have a problem in this town, loose dogs, cats, and there's a lot that can be done about it, and I think it's been very well stated, what we can do as far as the shelter is concerned. Spay neuter, we are, as Angels for Animals, as one of the members for Angels for Animals, we are really kind of sticking our finger in the dike. We transported about 500 dogs last year out of our shelters to give them good homes. And we are just really kind of skimming the surface. Our spay and neuter that was brought up is a very important job for us to do. We cannot control the population unless we spay and neuter. And I think the thing of bringing up the cost of spay and neuter, yes, they may say no when they come to get the dog, and they say, I am not going to pay the price to have the spay and neutered, but it's going to save us money on down the road. If they can't afford to spay and neuter the dog or cat, then they really can't afford to have the pet. You know, pets are not cheap. You know, they come with an expense to them. And we wanted to set up an educational program for the kids in the grade schools. And we've talked to K-State about this, about the traveling people who will come and give programs to our grade schools, trying to let them know that pets are not just something that you pick up and discard. They're something you care for. So, spay and neuter is high on my list, and I'm sure it's high on the list of the shelter too. It's just finding the money to go ahead and take care of that. But that's something on down the road. Right now, the shelter, this is a huge improvement over what we have today. And I'm looking forward to the breaking ground on this thing so we can possibly at least get a handle on our diseases that are being spread from kennel to kennel in the shelter that we have now. This will be greatly improve the dog's availability to be shipped out of here, because when we ship a dog out, they start asking us questions. Well, how is the dog with people? How is the dog with other animals? How is the dog, are they safe? And believe me, when you ship a dog off to Denver, and they have very stringent spay-neuter laws in Denver. You ship a dog off to Denver, and it's got a disease, and it got passed here, they can't just go out and euthanize it. They have to take care of it. So they're talking about a big cost. So we need to do what we can do here in Liberal to make sure that these dogs and animals of all types are taken care of, and they're cared for, and make sure when we ship them out of Liberal to other places that we have shipped them a good animal, so they come back to us and say, yes, we'll take some more. So I thank you for your ears, and I thank you for what you said about the kennel, the new kennel. This will be a great asset to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you for Great Plains Angels for Animals for working with the city. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Martinez absent. Thank you, Captain Antrim, Police Chief Sill, and Mr. Crozier. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 10, which will be the conveyance of North Kansas Avenue right-of-way back to KDOT. Mr. Parsons.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, you remember back in May, I brought an item to you regarding the old Highway 83 right-of-way, very north end of town. That's the portion that they abandoned when they changed the configuration of 83. Through an oversight on KDOT's part, that right-of-way was never deeded back to the city. So when we asked for it, they deeded it back. We have been approached by a development group who would like to develop an adjacent property to that, asking to purchase that right-of-way from the city. Well, according to part of that deed, we are not allowed to do anything with that property that wouldn't be a public use. So in order for the development group to acquire that property, we have to deed that back to the state. Then they will appraise it and offer it to all the parties that are adjacent to that property. So give them a fair shot to purchase that property. So we had Shirley prepare us another deed, giving it back to them since they just gave it to us. And that's what we want to come to you with tonight, is basically your approval to deed that property back to the state of Kansas. Any questions?
Any questions of the commission for Mr. Parsons?
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve transferring the property back to KDOT and execution of the deed that legal counsel had prepared.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further questions? The state has no problem selling this property back to the
No,
interested parties.
Not at all.
It's
Well,
not-
and what they'll do is, it won't be offered to just one party.
Right. All those that are adjacent to the-
There are actually two property owners that abut this property.
But it only,
Right.
will only be those that abut.
Those two are the ones who will be offered that property. So.
I just,
And, it's just that, when they gave it to us, it was for a public use only. We weren't able to sell or give or do anything that would turn that into a private use. We asked, and they said no. So our solution to this would be to deed it back to them. They will in turn get to sell that property, so.
And
The city doesn't get any money from it,
Right.
but state does.
But they've done this all over the state. So
Okay. I'm
they're
just-
familiar with the process
Yeah.
once we explained it to them.
okay, I just was hoping it'd be in a very timely manner. So,
It's time to do it.
as timely as KDOT gets, yes, okay. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed, motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Mr. Martinez is absent. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 11, which is the sewer interceptor line, wastewater department. Mr. Ford.
Good evening, Commissioners. This agenda item deals with the project of installing a new sewer interceptor line across North Liberal from the wastewater treatment plant over to Western Avenue. This project has been in the works for several years, and we're finally at the point where we're ready to get started on it. You'll find in your packet a bid summary tab sheet that our city engineer has helped us prepare, Earls Engineering, who coordinated a bid process. And on there, the packets that were sent out, there were 3 bids that were received, and 2 of those bids do compare favorably to the engineer's estimate. And tonight, we would propose the bid from NOAC Construction Company in the amount of $2,561,429 to be funded from proceeds from the wastewater revolving loan fund. And if you'll remember, back when we accepted the wastewater revolving loan, part of that agreement, the first part was the acceptance of the loan, and then the second part of that would be, we would need to establish a sufficient revenue structure to support repayment of the revolving loan. And the current status on that is we do hope to prepare something in the near future regarding the revenue structure. So tonight, we would request approval of the bid from NOAC Construction in the amount stated from the KDHE revolving loan fund, with work to commence after the final loan arrangements have been completed. This would basically allow us to get on the contractor schedule and start, that process. But like I said, the work would not begin until after the loan arrangements have been finalized.
Is this like buying a car and then figuring out how we're going to pay for it later?
Well, we know how we're going to pay for it. We just have to complete the final loan arrangements.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the bid of $2,561,429 from NOAC Construction Company for the interceptor line across North Liberal from Western Avenue to the wastewater treatment plant, with the funding to come from the KDHE revolving loan fund proceeds.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any further discussion on this motion?
What's wrong with the line that we have now, do you know?
Well, the
Not big enough, what?
the current line, I believe that it runs somewhere in the vicinity of 15th Street, and just with all of our growth and expansion over the years, we're starting to reach some safe capacity level with the line, and I've heard anywhere between 70 to 75%.
And this would service for future expansion in the north area. Along with it will service the new school, the new middle school.
Okay.
But it's really for, like I say, for future growth of the city.
This has been in the works for quite some time. I mean, we've been working.
In fact, I will say to the commission that this was going to be a part of our new plant, included in the project.
Before we knew the school was coming.
And we have moved this part of the project up because of the new schools being built.
All right, any further discussion? We have a motion to second. All those in favor? All those opposed, motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Next item up on the agenda is City Manager's Report. Mr. Hall.
Mayor, Commissioners, just want to thank all the departments. It's just fantastic what you do. It's that time of year, and we've got record rain, and things are growing, and they're doing the best they can. It is one of those that we're trying to get everything done, but I do appreciate what they do, and I think commissioners have seen that they've reacted the best way they can on certain problems that have arisen and addressed them. So just want to thank all the departments, appreciate everything you've done.
Any question for the City Manager? Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 13, items from Commissioners. Vice Mayor Aragon.
Just want to thank the staff for all they do. I know they're doing a lot of hard work out there. Keeping everything look good, looking good. That's all I have.
Commissioner Harrison.
I agree. I think city staff is working about as hard as they can, trying to keep up with the things that are going on. It seems like every week we find a new task to ask them to do that is kind of out of their realm of responsibility, but they go about it and accept the challenge and get it done. And really appreciate not just, well, it involves every department in the city working together. And it's really neat. I think that's unique to our city to see that happen like that. I guess only other thing I need to do is let everybody know that Thursday is the Vice Mayor's birthday. I want to wish him happy birthday. How old are you going to be?
28.
And I want to tell you that I do appreciate working with my fellow commissioners. We don't always agree, but we figure out a way to move forward. Corey, I want to thank you for all your work on this parking deal. I know it's been a little bit controversial and probably will be for a while, but the intent is to make our city look better and put some teeth in the laws that we can enforce. And I think that's really what we're elected to do here is to try and improve our city for all citizens. And I don't think anybody with the city or any commissioner really wants to put an undue burden on anybody. But sometimes you have to do things to improve your community that may be not the most pleasant thing for a few, but the majority should rule. That's how you maintain a city and make it grow and be more viable, I think. That's my opinion. As simply stated as I can say it. Other than that, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harrison. Commissioner Carlisle.
Happy birthday, Dean.
Thank you. 52, by the way.
52.
You're the young one on the group.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I'm waiting for my social security
I'm
check.
only 51.
I do appreciate city staff. I know y'all work hard, Corey. I know, you're working hard, you are, but we do have to move forward in this town. And I do appreciate everything everybody's done. Thank you.
So, thank you. Just to add a little bit to what Commissioner Harrison said, people can still park on the streets, no expense. So feel free to do that. I'd like to thank city staff. I know, Corey, you've worked on this a long time. Boy, John, you and I have burnt the phone lines back and forth on this shelter. You guys have done a tremendous job. It's going to be a great addition to a problem that you inherited several years ago. So you guys have really stepped it up, and we're looking at a quality shelter, and I think it's going to be beneficial to everybody in the community and even in the county, because I know it's not just the city animals that you take in the county dogs and cats as well. So Jim, your staff's doing a great job. I see them out there 7 days a week, and that used to be unheard of, but it's now a mainstay, and that many animals a day, folks, we gotta get it under control. We really do. So whatever we can do as a commission to help that, I'm sure we'll be willing to sit and listen to help you with this problem. So thank you for that. Street Department, again, above and beyond during the storm not too long ago, saw them down 7th Street taking out some big trees that the wind had blown over and uprooted, helping out citizens. Again, not really part of their job description, but again, the city stepping up to make the community a better, safer place for all. So thanks to all the staff, thanks to my fellow commissioners. I know a lot of you have seen Dean cooking hamburgers almost everywhere this summer. Jack with PRCA was out there for a couple of days in the heat all day long, and I know Dave puts in a lot of time making the city a better place for everybody. So and Commissioner Martinez is when his phone lines get burned up, he burns up mine. So it takes the effort of all of us working together. Like Dave said, not always agreeing, but always moving forward. So thanks to my fellow commissioners, and thanks to the administration for keeping the city also moving forward in a positive direction. And I know Jeff has been just had his nose to the grindstone, and I think we will see some exciting things to come here in the near future. So thank you. That's all I have. Next item is the vouchers. Agenda item 14. Oh, quick reminder, Council of Governments, Thursday morning, 7 o'clock, Student Union, IMA Consultants providing health insurance plans and community options.
Hey.
That's this Thursday, 7 o'clock.
Could I back up here?
Sure.
Did you read the whole statement that Christy Lund?
No.
Okay.
She sent it to you too?
Yeah, and if I could back up,
Sure.
because she had asked me before, and I told her we'd have somebody read it, so. As a citizen of Liberal, Kansas, and a truck driver, this new ordinance is not right, for there are a lot of drivers who don't own property in Liberal. Not only that, but the biggest employer in Liberal is National Beef, and of course attached to them is the second biggest employer, National Carrier. Now, if you make that ordinance into a law, then we will not want to live in Liberal, and what will happen then? Oh, that's right, the surrounding towns will get all the business, like Garden City or Dodge City, or even increased business in Guyman and Meade. So how is this going to benefit our town? Just like the new ordinance that unless you have a double wide, you can't move a mobile home into Liberal or rebuild a home that was burned to the ground. This town is becoming greedy. I'm ashamed to say I have lived here since I went to school at the new high school when it first opened. This town had gone downhill the last several years. And that is from Christy Lundblade. I'm not sure of her address, but she had contacted me previously, and I had assured her that we would at least read her statement at the City Commission, and that's in reference to the parking ordinance. Thank you, sorry.
That's all right. Agenda item number 14, the vouchers.
I'd like to Make a motion that we accept the vouchers in the amount of $1,070,249.70.
Motion by Vice Mayor Aragon, do I have a second?
The second thing.
Second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion? Any discussion at all on the vouchers? Seeing none, to call for the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Martinez absent. Next, call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.